So the Rebbe this is not a sikha from L'chutei Sichos, but this is a mugedik sikha from, as you see, Shabbos Parshas Dvarim, Shabbos Chazon, Daled Menachemov Tavshim Memtes. It's actually today's day. Today was Daled Menachemov, though it wasn't Shabbos Chazon. So the Rebbe is going to talk about a favorite topic of his. We're just going to learn an excerpt of the sikha, and the Rebbe always makes reference, because the Rebbe always takes something and wants to bring out the positive. Now, in the simple sense, the 3 weeks, and even the Shabbosim in the 3 weeks, are times that we talk about destruction. In the Haftorah, it speaks about different punishments. There's Haftorahs Yirmiyahu that are talking about negative things that will happen. Even the Haftorah of Tisha B'Av, of the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av, the Haftorah of the Shabbos Chazon, is Chazon Yeshayahu. It's a vision of Yeshayahu that he saw things that are not that good about the Jewish people. But the Rebbe, with the power of Chassidus, as we know that Chassidus looks at the pnimius of everything and finds and turns over what is negative to good. So the Rebbe is going to explain and elaborate on a certain very well-known idea that Rabbi Levitzchak Berditchever said concerning this Shabbos, and why it's called Shabbos Chazon on a deep level. Chazon Yeshayahu, in a simple sense, is talking about Yeshayahu saw in his nevuah about how terrible the destruction is, the Bechor in Beis Hamikdash, and so on. But on a deeper level, the Rabbi Levitzchak Berditchever said that this is a time when we show the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi to every single Yid. The future Beis Hamikdash is being shown to every Yid, and there's a whole mashal about it, like a child that was given a nice suit of clothes, and he ruined it. Then his father gave him another nice suit of clothes, and he ruined it again. So then his father gave him finally a third suit, but he said, we're going to put it away. And when I see that you could take care of it, then I'll give you the suit of clothes. So from time to time, the father takes out the suit of clothes and he shows it to the child. So the same way, we had one suit, we had the first Beis Hamikdash, and we ruined it. We had a second suit of clothes, we had the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni, Abai Sheni, and we ruined that. Now the third Beis Hamikdash is ready and sitting and waiting. The Eibishter already made it. It's sitting ready and waiting. Bonu Mishuchel B'Shamayim. And when it comes Shabbos Chazon, Hashem shows every Yid the third Beis Hamikdash. And we're going to explain what that means, that he shows us this third Beis Hamikdash, how it affects us, and so on. So that's what we're going to begin right now. Aleph. Yedua Imra Rabbi Levitzchak Berditchever Shabbos Chazon Hu Meloshen Machzeh. B'Shabbosu marin l'chol echad ve'echad hamikdash to la'asid, but it's merachik, it's from afar. It's not like we see it in front of us. We have a vision of it from afar. Marin l'chol Yehudi as Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi. V'tam l'zehu, why is this shown to us? Just like a child that ruined his first 2 sets of clothing. Now why do you show him the third set of clothing? So that he should appreciate and realize how he needs to treat his clothing in the future. The same thing over here. First of all, he should be interested in it. If the kid doesn't see the nice suit of clothes, he forgets about the nice clothing. But he wants to, when he sees it, so that it causes him to miss it. Torah and Mitzvos, because when the Yidden, who are likened to this child that ruined their clothing, when he sees it, he misses it, he wants it, and he knows that he will get it when he behaves. So this will bring a Yid to behave even better and sooner, to bring down the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi down here below in in the physical sense. So the question is, I don't see it. V'agam shaloi kol Yehudi royes hamachsa hamikdash begaluim harei al zeh al derech ma she'Gemara imeres al divrei Daniel v'ra'isi ani Daniel levadi es hamara v'anoshim asher hayu imi lo yirau es hamara. He saw a very high spiritual nevuah. He saw a vision. The people around him did not see the vision. But in the pasuk it says something very interesting. Aval charada gedoyla nafla aleim, and the people that were around him that didn't see this very holy vision, vayivrachu behichavei. So the question the Gemara asks is, why did they run away? Why did they hide? If they didn't see anything, when a person sees a great revelation of Hashem, so that he's in awe of Hashem, he's very fearful, he's scared, so he'll run away. But they didn't see anything, why did they run away? The Gemara asks, since they didn't see, my time why did they get scared? So the Gemara answers, even though they didn't see, mazlayu chazu, their mazel, which is the shoirish of the Neshama above, the source of the Neshama above is called mazel. Mazel tov means that it should be drawn down from our Neshama above, from our shoirish above, all good things. Mazel is from the word noizel. So the mazel of these people saw it, and because the mazel of these people saw it, so even though they didn't know why, but they became scared. And this is a general thing that it says a lot of times in Pirkei Avos. We've been learning Pirkei Avos since Pesach. And Pirkei Avos it says, a baskel comes from above and says this and this. What's the benefit? I don't hear any baskel. But since my neshama above hears the baskel, hears these words of Hashem, hears these words that are announced above, therefore it can affect me without my even realizing how it affects me. All of a sudden it pops into my head and into my heart, a hirur tshuva. Where did this come from? This came because my mazel of the neshama above saw it. So the Rebbe says, just like it says by Daniel, that why were they running away? Because their mazel above saw them. I might not see that down here with my physical body, but my mazel above sees it. V'amazel maloshen noizel, since it's from the word noizel, that it pours down, nimshach u'mashpia al neshama beguf lamata v'ad leguf bepashtus. So this influences us, whether we are conscious of it, whether we are aware of it, whether we're not aware of it. Obviously, the more we learn about it and the more we think into it, the more we bring it out into our awareness. But even without consciously thinking about it, it affects us, it influences us. So the Rebbe asks a question, the first question is, Aleph, Madu, Marim is Abayis, Shlishi, Davka, Shabbos Chazon, HaShabbos, Shalifnei Tisha B'Av, Kisha Hoye Churban, Beis Hamikdash, that's the date of Tisha B'Av, is the Churban of the Beis Hamikdash. Hoye Tzrichim, La Roisei, B'Shabbos Nachmu. The Shabbos after Tisha B'Av is called Shabbos Nachmu, because it begins, the Haftorah, Nachmu, Nachmu Ami. Betchilas Hasheva de Nechemta. There are 7 Haftorahs of Nechama, of consolation, that we read in the Shabbosim, starting from the Shabbos after Tisha B'Av until the Shabbos of before Rosh Hashanah. So it makes sense, if you're showing the person the Beis Hamikdash, that's a positive, uplifting thing. So when should a person be shown the Beis Hamikdash? When should it be uplifted? After Tisha B'Av. When we're dealing with comforting the person, when we're dealing with being menachem the person, when we're consoling the person, so then it makes sense to show him the Beis Hamikdash. But you're going to tell me, wait a minute, didn't we say before, why are we showing us the Beis Hamikdash? Because we're trying to get us inspired. We're trying to be ma'oder the Yid to do his avodah the way he's supposed to do it. So then the question is the other way. Why wait till the last Shabbos of the 3 weeks? till the Shabbos right before Tisha B'Av. You want to be ma'adir the person. You want to undo all the things that brought to the Korban. So do it right away at the beginning of the 3 weeks. Just like there's Shiva de Nechemta, 7 weeks of the Haftorah dealing with consolation and comfort after Tisha B'Av until Rosh Hashanah, the 3 weeks have 3 Haftorahs of punishment, of rebuke. So therefore, why wait till the last Shabbos to show us the Beis Hamikdash? Madu amar moise b'Shabbos hashlishi b'soif shloish hashavos shu achamer mikol shloishes hapuronusa. It's the most severe. If we actually listen, read the words of the Haftorah, it has very, very terrible type of things. I once told you guys that when I was in Russia, I met over there an old chassid by the name of Geshe Volensky, and he couldn't go to shul, and we were in his house when he was davening by himself, and he also read in the Chumash to himself, and then he read the Haftorah. So he did that between Shachritz and Musaf. This happened to be Shabbos Chazon. He was reading the Haftorah of Shabbos Chazon. He was crying like a baby. It was like tears coming down from him. Because Pashut, if you read the Pashut Pshat, if you read the simple words of the Haftorah, it's really, really terrible things over there. So why do we wait till like the worst of those Shabbosim, to the worst of those Haftorahs, and that's when we show the Beis Hamikdash. We're already in the 9 days. We're already in the week of Tisha B'Av. We know there are certain things that we don't do the entire 9 days. Then there are certain things that we only are usher to do from the week Shachal Boy. Shabbos is included in that Shavua Shachal Boy. B'shal Yosem Kroivim LaTisha B'Av, because they're closer to Tisha B'Av. And the Rebbe asks even more, Yosem is a Tama Poshud Lakach. Shabbos Nikra Shabbos Chazon. What's the literal explanation? Al Shem Haftorah Chazon Yeshayahu. And what was Yeshayahu's vision? What did he see? He saw terrible things. Hamidaberes begoli divri musar bekesher lachatoim shel bnei Yisrael shebeglolim charav Beis Hamikdash hahepech hagomer me'amachzeh shel Hamikdash haboni la'asid. The Rebbe says, how does it fit together? How do you put together two opposites like this? How do you make the Shabbos Chazon and the Haftorah of Shabbos Chazon and the fact that it's called Chazon because you're seeing such terrible things and you're putting it together with seeing the third Beis Hamikdash, which is the highest thing possible? The Rebbe always, the Rebbe in Bechlal, whenever there's multiple explanations in a pasuk, even if one is according to Pshat and one is according to Soid, to Primis HaTorah, to Chassidus, the Rebbe always wants it to fit together. It's not, we don't have 4 different Torahs. One Torah of Pshat, another Torah of Remez, another Torah of Drush, and another Torah of Soid. Everything has to complement each other. Everything has to be mashlim each other. The Rebbe always says, it's a Torah Tmima. It's one whole Torah. So therefore, if in the simple meaning Shabbos Chazon means that we see such terrible things, or the Shaya Navi saw such terrible things, how can you together with that call it Chazon because they see the greatest thing possible, the third Beis Hamikdash? That's one question. Beis. The Pashtas Einyan move on. Shazeh Shemarim l'chol lechet v'echad Hamikdash l'los b'Shabbos Chazon haya b'chol ha'doides me'oz churban habayis. It's not something that just started now. I'd live Neshama Rabbi Yitzchak bar Ditchev Gilazos. It only in the days of Rabbi Yitzchak bar Ditchev 200 something years ago, or about 200 years ago, that this was revealed. Umadu alay gilu oides zois l'chol bnei Yisrael shebedoyres shalifnei zeh shemarim l'bnei Yisrael l'chol echad v'echad zabayis hashlishi. Doesn't this matter to every Yid? Why wait till the times of Rabbi Yitzchak bar Ditchev to reveal this? V'adavar nizgalav and nisparsim rak bedoyres achroinim ba'achras hayom ma'idei Rabbi Yitzchak bar Ditchev, like he says, be'erech l'fnei masayim shana. So how is that? What's the sense in it? Gimel. Yeshloimash is a yuvim bahagdim abir bin the tlosa the puranusa, the 3 Haftorahs of punishment, that's in the 3 weeks, every Shabbos, and the Shiva the Nechemta, the 7 of comfort, that's in the 7 weeks of comfort that happens afterwards. Derech Hagav, there's the Rebbe in, trying to remember if it's over here or it's in a different place. The Rebbe talks about that the 3 and the 7 have to do with the 3 levels of Seichel, the 7 levels of Midas. It's not in this one. It's in a different Sikh where the Rebbe speaks about it. So you have that these 10 weeks, ordinarily the Haftorah has to do with the Parsha of the week. These 10 weeks, beginning from Shavuos B'Tammuz till Rosh Hashanah, all the Haftorahs don't have to do with the Parsha of the week. And in truth, if you go even further, in Tishrei also doesn't have to do with the Parsha of the week, because Shabbos Shuvah has to do with Shabbos, and any Shabbosim it has to do with Aser Simei Shuvah, and then if you have a Shabbos in Sukkot, so it's again maybe the Shabbos between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. If you have a Shabbos over there, so then you'll have a Shabbos that will be having to do with Haftorah. So you have a whole bunch of Haftorahs that don't have to do with the Parsha, but they have to do with the period of time. So the Rebbe talks about what's this idea about the 3 of punishment and the 7 of comfort. Duber pamim rabbis v'frat menegel yomim elu shekol yerida l'tzoyrech aliyah. Every yerida, even something like the Neshama coming down here into this world, but especially the terrible yerida that took place during this time period in the year, during the destruction of Beis Hamikdash, is l'tzoyrech aliyah. Melchatchila kavana ba'yirida hoisa b'chdei shezeh yavi lemadrega nailis oid yoser lamayla mehamokim b'nimtzu lefnei ha'yirida. That's what it means, yirida l'tzoyrech aliyah. If you're just going to go back to the same place you were before, then it's not yirida l'tzoyrech aliyah. You didn't have to go down. You should have just stayed where you were. It's like investing money. You're not investing money to make back the same amount of money that you invested. You don't invest $100 to get back and come back to $100. There's no purpose in it. But Yerida Tzorech Aliyah is, I give you $100. In other words, now I don't have $100 in my pocket anymore. Why? Because I want to get $1,000 back. The point is, that's every idea of Yerida Tzorech Aliyah, that I'm going back to a place that's higher than it was before the Yerida. So he says, "V'yiseidu mizeh pnimius hayirida hi aliyah haba mizeh al shebchitzoynis ulefisha begoli areze nira kan lemata ki yirida aval amayla areze gilui achinayla asher adayin eina yochol izgalz kan lemata." The Rebbe over here is adding another thing. There are things that are done for a different purpose. And the thing that you're doing now is not a good thing necessarily. It's not something you would like. But eventually from that will come out something that you want. The Rebbe says, Yerida Tzorech Aliyah means that really, in the Yerida itself, though we don't see it down here, in the Oilmas Al-Yoinim it's an Aliyah. And he's going to give a very interesting mashal for this. Al derech mashal me'ahelim shabashpo asarav l'talmid in the world of a Talmud, when is he getting the best life? When he's hearing what the Rav is teaching him. If the Rav stops, he says, no, I want to hear more. How about, especially if the Rav stops right in the middle? So for sure, I want to hear the answer. I want to hear the whole idea. So in his world, it's a negative. Why did the Rav stop? So a lot of times it will happen that the Rav has to stop because he's about to get a deeper and higher insight than even he had before he began the shir. Before he began the shir, he was going to say something in such a way. Then all of a sudden, while talking, there's an idea of for whatever reason, all of a sudden, a new idea, a deeper idea falls into his mind. So, again, the Rav stops, he says, wait a minute. In the world of the Talmud, it's a Yerida. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting the hashpah from the seichel of the Rav. On the other hand, in truth, this idea that the Rav is stopping is for the greatest benefit of the Talmud, except the Talmud doesn't see it at the moment. But he's going to get the results later on. But it's the stopping itself is a good thing, even though from the Talmud's perspective it looks negative. The Alter Rebbe says this also in Tanya concerning things that are down here in this world that are considered Yisurim. It's really because it's a very high level of revelation above. It comes from something from Alma de Iskasya, from a hidden world, and therefore down here, that hidden world expresses itself in not seeing the good. But in truth, in the higher world, it's very, very big. But now we want that this great revelation should come down here below. Let's go for example in the case of the Rav and the Talmud. The Rav is speaking something deep. But he may think to himself, you know what, this might be too deep to explain to my Talmidim. Today, Gimel Av was a Daled of, was the yard third yard site of Yoel Khan. And he was like this great mind. Now, I could see where this great mind would go ahead and say, you know what, this is too deep. This is too much for the Talmud to hear. But the Talmud very much wants to hear it. So the Talmud tries to show the Rav how much he's interested. He begs the Rav for it. He shows how much he's concentrating in it. He learns extra better to be able to show the Rav that he's able to do it. So what happens now? The Rav got this great G-dly. He's not sure if he could share it with the Talmud, but the Talmud, through his avodah, is able to draw this down from the Rav that the Talmud should be able to get it as well. The same thing over here. There was a Yerida with the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Lamaila, that destruction was actually a very good thing. For reasons that perhaps later we'll explain. Now, we need to make sure to bring it down here. When we do what we're supposed to do, we are ensuring and we are assuring Hashem that we could take it. We could receive this great revelation that is happening because of the Churban. V'dafke b'shah sha'agilu ha'naylam esgal gam lamata nishlam tachlis v'shleimus ha'inyan shleimus gam lagabe ha'inyan k'vi shenimtza b'goli al rak l'maylo. So there is the level before the Yerida, there's the Yerida that above it was high, and then there's the Aliyah after the Yerida that down here it's revealed that great thing, and that's the ultimate thing. So the Rebbe now applies this concerning Golus and Geula. K'moikin move him in the Gel Golus and Geula. Hagam shachur v'agolus hem b'chetzonius helem v'hester al b'pnimius hareza tachlis hatoiv b'yoser. Why is it the tachlis hatoiv b'yoser? It's hagilui the Geula ha'asida v'shal Beis Hamikdash ha'shlishi. And we know that the third Beis Hamikdash is so much greater and higher, not only than the second Beis Hamikdash, even than the first Beis Hamikdash. That says, "Shu gilu shaloi berach klal agabe kola and yon shoyu lifnei zeh koilu bayis rishon bayis sheni." The Rebbe always brings down the pasuk that it says, I think it's Zechariah Navi. It says, "Godel yia kavod abayis hazeh achron yosim and harishon." And Mefarshim explain either it's going the second Beis Hamikdash is greater than the first Beis Hamikdash, or like the Zohar explains, it's talking about the final Beis Hamikdash. The third Beis Hamikdash is greater than the previous Beit Hamikdashes. The Geula Nitzchis, not just the Beis Hamikdash will be greater, but the Geula will be greater because it will be a Geula Nitzchis, Shein Acharei HaGolus. Or Beis Hamikdash will be Nitzchi. Why? Because the third Beis Hamikdash is different than the first and second Beis Hamikdash. The first and second Beis Hamikdash are Maaseh Yedei Adam. And since they are Maaseh Yedei Adam, so therefore the nature of people, when people do things, is it doesn't last. And that's why the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed after 410 years. The second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed after 420 years standing. The third Beis Hamikdash is Mikdash Adnai Koinu Yadecha. Hashem himself builds the third Beis Hamikdash. And because of that, it's going to be a Beis Hamikdash Nitzchi. So it's understood that a Beis Hamikdash that Hashem himself builds, that it's something that is a bias Nitzchi, is Shaloi Be'erech higher than what was in the first and second Beis Hamikdash. Ubagal Atoy V'chinayl Shebezem Yeshnoi Ahelam Lefisha Eitzal Makablim, like we said before, that the Rav needs to withdraw and not be able to share what he wants to share with the Talmud, because now he's busy getting this great revelation. Now, the Rebbe uses this also concerning an idea in Nigla. I've mentioned this before, I believe, that the Rebbe asked a question. We know that whatever Hashem tells us to do, Mashu hu oimer mitzav, Mashu oisa oimer li Yisrael lasos. Whatever mitzvah Hashem commands us to do, He Himself does. We know it's usher to destroy any part of the Beis Hamikdash. It's usher to destroy any part of the Mizbeach. How did Hashem destroy the Beis Hamikdash? So the Rebbe explains, there is one exception to this rule. Sometimes, to be able to remodel and to build something nicer, you need to destroy what's there before. The Churban of the Beis Hamikdash, if it would have been a Churban Ba'amitis, so then it would have been awesome for Hashem to do it. But the point of the Churban is just like this Rav stopping to talk in the middle. He's reaching a deeper seichel. The Churban of Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni was a way and a path to reach the third Beis Hamikdash, which is higher Shaloi Berach than Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni. Okay, Dua Sha'ahelam v'Hester Shal Churban v'Agolus Ba B'Glal Ha'istalkas Ha'Oira L'Ki L'Mailom, that when the Oira L'Ki leaves this world, so that's when the Beis Hamikdash becomes destroyed. It says that in a similar vein that when Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the Luchos the first time, when he saw the Yidden do the Avodah Zarah and Shavasar B'Tamuz, when he saw them make the Egel Azov, so it says the letters of the Oisit, which was the Kedusha of the Luchos, flew up. The Luchos now became heavy. Beforehand, the Kedusha and the Alakus that was in the Luchos, carried the Luchos, made it light. When the letters and words, when the Kedusha of the Luchos flew away, so then automatically he dropped the Luchos and they broke. In a similar vein, the Kedusha of this world left the Beis Hamikdash. It was a stalkus of the Oira L'Ki L'Maila, and that's why the Beis Hamikdash was able to be destroyed. Otherwise, with such Kedusha, it would not be possible for a guy to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. Hashem in Golus, he goes up higher and higher, top of page 102. So, now if you look at it again, is it a Yerida or is it an Aliyah? For us, it's a Yerida, because we don't see the Oira L'Ki. We see the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed. But for the Oira L'Ki that was there in the Beis Hamikdash, what happened to that Oira L'Ki? Shalagabi Oira L'Ki, Hareza Aliyah L'Maylam. V'rak ba'olam lamata zeu helam v'hester shel golus. And the Rebbe brings in footnote 18 that this is also similar. Another mashal for this is a person asleep. When a person is asleep, his neshama goes up. And neshama goes l'maylam. He becomes refreshed physically. He also gets refreshed spiritually from Oil Misol Yoinim Gan Eden. But someone's looking at him, he sees totally not functioning. He's not doing anything productive. The rest of the day, he's learning, he's davening, he's doing mitzvahs, he's being a productive person. Now he's lying in bed, he doesn't move. He's not being productive at all. But dafka, that's the time that the neshama goes up above. Golus and the churban of the Beis Hamikdash is likened to this time when a person is asleep. B'chitzonius, to us, we're looking at a sleeping person. We look at, there's no Beis Hamikdash. We look at, there's no G-dly Lakus. Just like this person, no intelligence. Nothing is going on, nothing positive with this person. But in truth, it's being Oila Lamaila. The Oila Laki is becoming Nis'ala Lamaila, going up higher to get greater and stronger koiches, that when it comes, the building of the third Beis Hamikdash, it will be so much more powerful, just like the person becomes refreshed in the morning after sleeping. And same thing, the third Beis Hamikdash will be so much more powerful than before. As Hagili Achinaila Shalagula Sidam. Hareza Toliv Maseinu or the Seinu calls Mamesh Chagolos, like we said before, that we need to draw it down quicker and sooner. V'davka yidei zeh, she's a ba begilui lemata begulam nishlon shleimus ha'inyan. V'prater yoser hareza ha'hevdel ben gimel de puronusa Zayin the Nechemta, like we said before, the 3 Shabbosim where we read Haftorah of punishment versus the 7 of comfort. B'shloishes hashavuos harishayim kishaymrim Haftorah hakshuris in Puranias hachurm v'agolas hagam shebegoli hareze inyan shel Puranas ach bepnimius inyan hareze hagilui achodesh hagula asida Beis Hamikdash hashlishi shabai deze. Really? In these 3 weeks, in these 3 Shabbosim, in these 3 Haftorahs, even though they sound terrible, they really have hidden inside the Gilui that's going to be of the Gula Asidah. This love that is taking place by Gimel the Puranusa that's concealed begins its revelation in the weeks after Tisha B'Av, in the Shiva de Nechemta. Hashpa v'amshach lamata shel Gilui HaChadosh hagula v'abayis hashlishi shenifel b'shvuos lifnei zeh. So the 7 weeks of comfort, the 7 Haftorahs of comfort are a result and a hemshech to the 3 of Puranusa that were beforehand. Like we mentioned this possible before, that Dafka, the third Beis Hamikdash, will be a Bayis Nitzchi. Shagili mizelamata nasa aide avoida shel bnei Yisrael hamevia sageula Beis Hamikdash hashlishi. Dafka Yidden are the one that bring it about. Like it says, Yavai Aryeh, the Chazal say that the lion will come. Hashem is likened to a lion. Mazel Aryeh, and those that know Mazolis, the different constellations, Leo is this time of year. Chodesh Av is Mazel Aryeh. V'yivna Ariel, the Beis Hamikdash is called Ariel. So Aryeh will come in the Mazel Aryeh and rebuild Ariel. V'yiserim is Almanazah Hoya Ola Aryeh v'Mazel Aryeh v'Hechrev Ariel. It says that also the Nebuchadnezzar was called Aryeh, and he came in the Mazel Aryeh and he destroyed Ariel. Why? The Gemara says Almanas. What's the whole reason for the destruction? So that it should be rebuilt. In other words, in other places the Rebbe explains, why does the Gemara feel the need to play around with the word Aryeh the whole time? Because he's trying to show that the negative is embedded in the positive. The same idea. The Aryeh is destroying, the Aryeh is rebuilding. The Aryeh was the time of the destruction, the Aryeh is the time of the rebuilding. The Beis Hamikdash that was destroyed is called Ariel, and the Beis Hamikdash rebuilt is called Ariel. That the Avelis itself becomes transformed, becomes changed. The very Aryeh, which is negative, becomes a positive. Gili pnimis hatoiva ava be'evlam shel hatlasash lifnezeh. Ume'en gili zeh de la'asad lavi nifel b'chamisha asar ba'av. This is the reason why chamisha b'asar ba'av, it says, shalachein lo'hoy yom tovim li'Yisrael b'chamisha asar ba'av. Why? Kivin sha'az mizgalas ha'aliyah achin nailas b'pnimis ha'inyan de Tisha B'Av. So because the highest type of aliyah becomes nizgalam after the lowest yeridah. And the 15th of Av is the time when the moon is full and Yisrael moinim l'lavana, even though there's other Yom Tovim when the moon is full, like Sukkot and Pesach. But this Yom Tov, since it comes after the Yerida of Tisha B'Av, so it has the highest Aliyah. Hey, Al Piyam now Yuvanatam Lakach, Shadafke B'Shabbos Chazon, Marim Kolechad Vechem Meisrol, Sabayis HaShlishi, what we asked before. Dafke B'Siyum Atlasa the Puranusa, not at the beginning of the 3 weeks. The last Shabbos of the 3 weeks. B'Shabbos HaKarav L'Tisha B'Av, Kish HaChoshech L'Mato HaChazak B'Yoser, Hareze Gufa Raya L'Goydel HaGile HaChodesh HaKayim Oz. Dafke because it's so dark, Dafke because it's so low, that means that the Aliyah is the most highest. If it wouldn't be so low, if it wouldn't be so dark, the Aliyah wouldn't be so high. So he says, Nirmas Gam Bazeh Shebetfilas Mincha Bezman Raiva Derayim Shel Shabbos Chazon Maschilum Likre Parts Veschanim. Already, on the time of Mincha, of the it's called the Rotzen of all the Ritzoinus, the highest appeased time of Hashem, we already start reading Parts Veschanim. By the way, the Rebbe says this is also connected with the fact that on Mincha time, on Tisha B'Av, he says in a footnote, was Mashiach was born. That's why we say Nachem in Mincha on Tisha B'Av. And also that when the Goyim went into the Beis Hamikdash, they saw the Kruvim embracing each other, which shows on the great Ava that Hashem has for the Yidden. In the time of the destruction, when the Goyim went into the Beis Hamikdash, when the Beis Hamikdash was being destroyed, and on Mincha on Tisha B'Av, which was like the worst time on Tisha B'Av, that's when Mashiach is born. To show us this idea, that the inner idea of the Churban is really G-dly. So he says, and that's why also the Rebbe says, Tisha B'Av will be the greatest Yom Tov, more than any other Yom Tov. Why? I can understand that Tisha B'Av will be turned over from a sad day to a happy day. But why will it be the greatest Yom Tov? Because that's the worst descent. That shows that B'Pnimius, it's the highest Aliyah. So he says in the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av, we already begin reading Parshas Vaschanon, HaParsha Shel Shabbos Nachamum, HaShabbos HaRishonim, HaShevet HaNechemta. We're not yet holding by the 7 weeks of comfort, but already we start reading the Parsha having to do with Shevet and Nechemta. U'mi'achar shakavana b'yirida chitzonis lefi shah. He b'chdei la'oider es avoidus b'nei Yisrael lahamshich lamata es agili achodesh al abayis hashlishi shedavka idei zeh nishlemus hashlemus mezeh gam l'mayla, like we said, that when is the true aliyah above? Only when it becomes revealed down here below. And that's why we had to have the Yerida down here, to be ma'oider us, to show us, to inspire us that we should change ourselves. L'chein davke b'Shabbos zu, in the lowest Yerida, marin l'cholech d'vech ha'mikdash t'la'asid, shazam mikdash t'la'asid, va'pnimius, va'atoichen shel churban habayis b'Tisha B'Av, b'chdei la'oirer es ha'avodah shel b'nei Yisrael, shehi toirid v'tavis ha'mikdash ha'shlishi ha'bonu yemuchen l'mayla b'G-dly kan l'mata. And now we're going to come to the final question we asked. Why did Hashem wait till Rabbi Levitzch Bar Ditchever to reveal us this idea? Well, Pisa moving gamatam, madua inyan zen is gal lekulam, davke b'doyres achroinim. Begolus gufa royim sha'achoyshach ha'kovid b'yoyser hu davke ba'achres ha'yomim. Ad le'ikvus of the Mashiach. The time now when we hear Mashiach's footsteps are called the heels of Mashiach. The akvayim of Mashiach. Shebedugmas ha'okiv sheberegel ha'darga chitachtoin shebeguf sheboin chayis begoli shalachein mashim zoislim shal hepchachayim. There is an Avos that Abnosen, he says that in the body of a person, there's different things that's in the big world. For example, the hair on the head is like Faris, and other parts of the body are different parts of the world. What's called the Malach HaMavis Sheba Adam? The Malach HaMavis Sheba Adam is the Akiv Sheberegel. Because the Akiv Sheberegel is the least feeling part of the body. So that means the time of Ikvus the Mashiach is the least sensitive time for Ruchnius and Alakus. It's the darkest time spiritually. That itself, that it's so dark down here, that shows that the Aliyah above is the most highest, like we said. The concentration, hamischazekes, El Gilu Ya'or HaChodesh Al Habayis HaShlishi Pnimis Inyan HaGolus Mischazekes Yoiser HaIstalik Ma'ashpa Mischazek Yoiser V'Yoiser Chosh HaGolus. Because the Aliyah is so high above, so the Golus looks darker and darker. It's not that until the times of Rabbi Levitzch Barditchever they weren't shown it, but it wasn't necessary to bring it to the front of their mind so much because the darkness wasn't so powerful. In a more inner way, in a more revealed way. And the Rebbe says in footnote 31 that Dafke Rabbi Levitzch Barditchever, that he was about bringing Geula to Yidden, so therefore he was the one that revealed it. So he's saying, beforehand, we just had to rely on the fact that the Mazel saw, so we became inspired to Shabbos Chazon before Tisha B'Av, but we didn't necessarily know what and when. Now, Rabbi Levitzch Barditchever revealed it, so not only do we rely on the Mazel above seeing this, but also it's something that we could spend time actually thinking about and bringing this home to us. V'davke ayidei hagilui b'poel lamata b'yoyser, like we mentioned before, nasa shleimus hagilui gam lamaylam. V'alderech shoya b'zman shebeis Hamikdash kayam, shedavke ayidei regel ha'adam. Regel is the lowest part. Davke then nasa inu shal ariel regel yira kol zechurchas pnei ha'adam avayik shem shebaliris kach balirois v'cholu, that we come to see and we come to be seen by Hashem. So we're doing it with our feet. It's called Oil Regel. We're going up by foot to the Beis Hamikdash. So it's the lowest thing, our foot, but that's causing the greatest gilui. It's a level of the heel of the foot in the times of the world. There's the times when the Yidden were like the head, and there's times when they are like the foot. Nasa in the Marm Cholech Vech Dam Mikdash Lasid Ad La Gilim Zeb Shleimus Kam Lamata Loy Merachik, like it says at the beginning, that they show every Yid from afar the third Beis Hamikdash. Ella Bekiru Begula Mitzvah Shleima Kishenasis Hashleimus the Yira Kol Zechurcha Bekishem Shabaliris. That's what's going to come, the ultimate level of the revelation from above. Inyan Hanal Nirmas Gam beParshas Shekoyrim beShabbos Chazon Parshas Dvarim uBetfilas Mincha Scholas Parshas V'Schan Scholas the Shiva the Nechemta La'achar Shekoyrim Parshas Eila Dvarim Shetoichna Gam Divrei Techachis. We know the beginning of Dvarim. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu was being mechiach as Bnei Yisrael, and even some types of Techachis. He was talking about the Meraglim, and he was talking about other things, and then there were certain types of Techachis that were concealed techachas, the concealed rebuke. Dugmas divra techachas shechazon yishayo. They have that in common. Parshas Dvarim speaks about Moshe Rabbeinu's techacha, and Chazon yishayo in a revealed way speaks about techacha. Shebegoli hareu inyan bilti rotzi lamata. Kishem sheklos hachurban ubegoli inyan dehep chatoiv. But what happens afterwards? After reading Chumash Dvarim, it comes mincha time, especially in some shulim where we daven mincha practically right after Shachris, so you don't have any delay. You can jump right into it. Koirin u'ba'oiseh Shabbos tfilos Moshe v'eschan al Hashem sha'akadosh Baruch Hu yavi oiseh shem Moshe yikanos la'Eretz Yisrael shetfilo kshurim agula asida lavei k'mevor b'sfarim shebim tfilos Moshe ois miskayemes oz v'yinichnos la'Eretz Yisrael u'boyin oz Beis Hamikdash u'boyin esa Beis Hamikdash ha'yizah bayis nitzchi v'gula nitzchis agula shleima Hagam shetfilos Moshe loy niskayma oz b'elam haza gashmi beglal gzeira, that Hashem decreed that Moshe Rabbeinu will not enter Eretz Yisrael because of the Mei Meriva, because of hitting the rock. Hariadavar barer shatfila b'toykef etikuyim. We know that a tzaddik's tefillah is always fulfilled. It might not be fulfilled right away, but eventually, in Hashem's time frame, it will be fulfilled. So we know that Moshe Rabbeinu's request was Chanan al Hashem is going to be fulfilled. It was just not then. It's going to be later. Since Torah is nitzchi, so the tefillah and the response is nitzchi. Allah has come v'kamish nizbatel kol ha'gzeiros, kol ha'gzeirahi, that we know that all gzeiros will eventually cease, including the gzeira that Hashem made against Moshe Rabbeinu, they shouldn't enter Yisrael. V'atoira me'idish v'arkol kol ha'kitzim, all the appointed ends of time when Mashiach has to come, stopped. That not stopped, is already concluded. It's already, we reached those times. Begula hamitis v'ashleima, isha Moshe yachad and kol bnei Yisrael, nichnasim l'Eretz Yisrael, v'yesh lem es Beis Hamikdash hashlishi bayis nitzchi. We'll stop over here.
Rabbi, I think
Ha'orah
45.
Ha'orah 45.
This is what you meant?
Yeah, yeah. In other sikhs, he talks about it more barichas, about the Gimel Moichin and Zayim Midas of the, which Moichin is higher than the Midas, so therefore it shows an even higher Indian.